Have you ever had one of those nights where you lie there in the dark, staring at the ceiling and wonder, why do I feel so empty? There's nothing particularly wrong. No big argument, no crisis, no pain that you can point to. But something inside just feels hollow. You feel a quiet ache, like something's missing, but you can't quite name what it is. It's a strange kind of loneliness, isn't it? The kind that doesn't always come from being alone, but from feeling disconnected from yourself, from purpose, from the life you once knew. Sometimes it comes after loss. Sometimes it shows up quietly, long after things have calmed down. And sometimes it just arrives for no clear reason at all. If that's you tonight, I want you to know something very simple, but very true. You're not broken, and you're not alone in feeling this way. That sense of emptiness isn't a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a sign that something inside you is asking to be seen. Tonight, we're going to talk about that feeling, that quiet emptiness that visits in the stillness of night, and 5 gentle truths that can help you find comfort when it does. Think of this as a conversation between friends, not a lecture, not advice shouted across a screen, but a calm, late-night chat, the kind that makes you feel understood. So take a breath. Let your shoulders relax. Let's begin.
The first truth I want you to remember is this. Feeling empty doesn't mean your life has lost meaning. It means your heart is ready for something new. Emptiness often shows up when life slows down, after retirement, after children have moved out, or after losing someone you love. When the noise of busyness fades, you suddenly have time to hear your own thoughts, and sometimes what you hear is silence. That silence can be unsettling. You might think, is this all there is now? But here's the beautiful thing. Emptiness isn't a dead end. It's space. And space means there's room for something to grow. When the routines, roles, and responsibilities that once filled your days start to shift, it's natural to feel lost. But that space can also become fertile ground for new connections, new experiences, new forms of peace. Imagine a garden in winter. On the surface, it looks barren, nothing blooming, nothing moving. But underneath the soil, life is quietly preparing for spring. Your heart works the same way. When you feel empty, it's not because you're done living. It's because your spirit is resting, clearing space for a new chapter to begin. So instead of trying to fill the emptiness right away with busyness, with noise, or with guilt, try just sitting with it. Ask yourself gently, what might this space be trying to show me? Sometimes it's pointing you towards something you've outgrown. Sometimes it's whispering that it's time to create something new, even if that something is simply peace. Now, the second truth is one that can feel harder to accept, but it's deeply freeing once you do. You haven't failed just because you feel lost. We live in a world that glorifies certainty, knowing your purpose, staying strong, being positive all the time. But life, especially later in life, isn't always about having clear answers. It's about learning how to live gracefully with the questions. You might look back and wonder, did I do enough? Did I make the right choices? Did I waste time? Those thoughts can echo loudly when things go quiet. But please remember, feeling uncertain doesn't erase the life you've lived. It doesn't mean you've fallen short. It just means you're human. Everyone, no matter how wise or accomplished, goes through seasons of uncertainty. Even the happiest people you know have moments when they feel disconnected from joy. That's not failure. That's being alive. Think of the sky at night. Some nights are clear and full of stars. Other nights, it's covered with clouds and you can't see the light at all.
But the stars haven't disappeared. They're still there, just hidden for a while. Your sense of purpose is like that. Even when you can't feel it, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just waiting behind the clouds for the right moment to shine again. And when that moment comes, it often starts small. A walk that feels unexpectedly peaceful. A conversation that stirs something inside you. A spark of curiosity about something new. Those little things are signs that your inner light is still very much alive. If you can, try this tonight. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" ask, "What part of me is asking to be cared for?" That question shifts your focus from judgment to compassion. And compassion is what heals emptiness. The third truth follows naturally from that. Connection begins with the noticing yourself again. So often, when people feel empty, it's because they've spent so much time caring for others that they've forgotten how to care for their own inner world. Maybe for decades, your focus was on your children, your spouse, your work, or your responsibilities. Then, one day, all of that changes. And suddenly, the person who's been quietly waiting in the background is you. Reconnecting with yourself doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about grand reinvention. It's about simple awareness. When you wake up, instead of rushing into thoughts about what needs to be done, take a moment to notice how you feel. Stretch, breathe, step outside if you can, and let the air touch your face. These little acts are like knocking gently on your own heart and saying, "Hey, I'm here. I see you." And you might be surprised. The more attention you give yourself, the less empty you'll feel. Because emptiness often fades not through more activity, but through awareness. Through remembering that you're still here, still breathing, still capable of feeling beauty, gratitude, and peace. You are not the same person you were 20 years ago or even 5. That's not something to mourn, it's something to embrace. Who you are now still matters. Your life still has weight, still holds meaning, even in its quietest moments. Now that we've touched on how emptiness can be space for renewal, how feeling lost isn't failure, and how reconnecting with yourself can begin to fill that quiet space again, let's keep going deeper into the next gentle truths that bring comfort when the night feels heavy and the heart feels hollow. There's a moment in every person's life when the noise fades, when the phone rings less often, the house grows quieter, and the days stretch out longer than they used to. For some, that silence feels peaceful, but for many, it feels like something's missing, like a part of life that once gave everything its shape and color has quietly slipped away. When you reach that place, it's easy to wonder, what now? You might think, I've done so much. I've worked, I've loved, I've raised a family, and yet, why does it feel like something's gone? That question, that quiet ache, is what brings us to the next gentle truth. Meaning doesn't disappear, it changes shape. You see, for much of your life, meaning came from doing, from purpose wrapped in action. You found it in raising your children, showing up for work, helping others, planning for the future. But when those chapters end or slow down, the purpose that once lived in motion starts asking to live in stillness. Meaning doesn't vanish. It simply shifts from the outside world to the inside one. Now it's less about what you do and more about how you see. It can be as simple as finding beauty in an ordinary day. The sound of birds outside your window, the smell of your morning coffee, the warmth of sunlight on your hands. Those small, quiet things are not empty. They are full of life, reminding you that you're still part of something sacred and alive. Sometimes we forget that existence itself is meaningful. You don't need a grand project or a long list of plans to matter. The simple act of waking up and noticing the world is its own kind of purpose. And maybe your meaning now lies in presence, in being here fully for yourself and the people who cross your path. A kind word to a neighbor, a phone call to a friend, a smile to a stranger at the store. These things might seem small, but they ripple far wider than you know. That brings us to another truth, one that can change how you see those lonely moments. Emptiness isn't always loneliness. Sometimes it's simply space, waiting to be filled with peace. It's easy to assume that the hollow feeling inside means you're missing someone or something. And sometimes that's true, but often that emptiness is your soul's way of asking for calm, for breathing room, for quiet, for a slower rhythm after so many years of constant movement. Think of it like a house that's been crowded for decades, filled with people, noise, and activity. When it finally becomes still, it can feel strange at first, but over time, that silence becomes a kind of music. You begin to notice details you never could before. The way light falls on the walls, the sound of the wind through the curtains. Your heart is like that house. When it empties, it's not broken. It's making room for peace, for reflection, for gentle awareness. You might not realize it, but your soul gets tired too. After years of doing and giving and worrying, it longs for rest. Emptiness is often that quiet signal, the soft whisper saying, "You can stop now. You've done enough. You're allowed to just be." So instead of trying to fill the space with distractions, what if you treated it as sacred? What if you saw emptiness as a soft invitation, not to run from yourself, but to return to yourself? When you do, you begin to see that silence isn't the enemy. It's the space where you finally hear the truth of your own heart. And that leads us to the next gentle truth. You are still becoming, no matter your age. There's a myth people believe that by the time we reach 60 or 70, the story is already written, that we've become who we are, and what's left is just waiting. But that's not true. You are not a finished book. You are still being written day by day, moment by moment. Growth doesn't stop with age. It simply softens. You may not be chasing big dreams anymore, but you're still learning how to love better, how to forgive deeper, how to be kinder to yourself. You're still discovering new things, maybe not about the world, but about the depth of your own spirit. Maybe you've learned that happiness isn't found in excitement, but in contentment. Maybe you've learned that strength doesn't always mean holding on. Sometimes it means letting go. Becoming isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it's about releasing what no longer fits. The guilt, the old stories, the idea that your worth comes from productivity. You've earned the right to grow in softer ways now, through joy, peace, gratitude, and self-understanding. And it's okay if some days that emptiness returns. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means there's still space inside you that's open to life, still room for growth, still capacity for wonder. Try to remember, you don't have to fill every empty corner with noise or activity. Sometimes just breathing, just noticing that you're alive, that's enough. When you wake up tomorrow, instead of thinking about what's missing, try asking yourself, what's quietly beautiful about this moment? Maybe it's the way the morning light filters through your curtains. Maybe it's the simple comfort of a warm cup of tea. Maybe it's the fact that you have another day to start again, no matter how old you are. You are still here. You are still growing. You are still capable of feeling peace. And sometimes that's all the truth you need to keep going. Now, as the night deepens and your thoughts begin to settle, let's take one last step together. There's one more truth, perhaps the gentlest of all, that can help you rest when life feels heavy and remind you that even in your emptiest moments, you are never truly alone.
When the world grows quiet and you're lying in bed, thoughts tend to get louder. The mind starts whispering old worries, memories of what was lost, regrets over what wasn't done, fears about what's ahead. And in that stillness, emptiness can feel heavy, almost too much to carry. But here's something to hold on to. You were never meant to fill that emptiness alone. You see, every person who's ever lived has known that feeling. Even those who seem full of joy, surrounded by family, laughter, and love, they felt it too. Because emptiness is not a sign that something's wrong with you. It's simply a reminder that you are human, a soul that has loved deeply, given much, and sometimes needs time to find its way back to itself. When you feel empty, it's easy to believe that no one understands. But if you could peek into the hearts of others, your friends, your neighbors, even the stranger who smiles at you in passing, you'd see that everyone carries their own quiet ache. Some hide it behind busy schedules, others behind laughter, but it's there, and it connects us in ways words never could. So the fourth gentle truth is this: you are not alone in your emptiness. When you feel isolated, try reaching out, even in small ways. Send a message to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Sit outside and wave to a neighbor. Join a local group, even just for a chat. Sometimes all it takes is one genuine conversation to remind your heart that it still belongs somewhere. And if reaching out feels too hard right now, that's okay too. Connection doesn't always mean being with people. It can mean connecting to life itself, to the world around you, to a memory, or even to something greater than yourself. Step outside for a moment and look at the night sky. See how the stars shine without asking for attention, how the moon glows quietly, no matter who's watching. That's life's gentle way of reminding you, you are part of this vast, living universe. You are not separate from it. The same breath that moves through the trees moves through you. The same light that touches the ocean touches your skin. Sometimes that's enough to start healing the loneliness, realizing that even in silence, you are held by something infinite. And that leads us to the final gentle truth. Emptiness can become peace when you stop fighting it. Most of our pain comes from resisting what is. We want things to be different, to go back to how they were, to fix what's broken, to fill what feels missing. But peace doesn't come from changing the past. It comes from learning to rest in the present, just as it is. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about softly accepting that life, in all its seasons, has meaning, even the quiet, uncertain ones. You've lived through storms before. You've known love, loss, laughter, heartbreak, and still you're here. You've carried yourself through more than you probably give yourself credit for. That strength, that resilience is still within you. Maybe tonight, instead of trying to fix the emptiness, you can simply breathe into it. Feel it without fear. Let it be. Because when you stop running from the silence,
something beautiful happens. It starts to speak. It tells you that you've done enough, that you are enough, that even if no one else says it, your existence matters deeply, not for what you do, but for who you are. You see, emptiness often appears before something new begins, like the space between heartbeats or the quiet before dawn. It's not an ending, it's a pause, a gentle reset, a space where life is preparing to move again in some small, unexpected way. So tonight, as you close your eyes, try not to fill the silence with worry. Let it be a resting place. Feel the rise and fall of your breath, the simple rhythm that has carried you through every chapter of your story. Each breath is proof that life hasn't given up on you, and you shouldn't give up on life either. There are still moments waiting for you, laughter you haven't yet heard, kindness you haven't yet given, mornings that will surprise you with their beauty. There are still people who will need your warmth, your wisdom, your quiet presence. You still have something to give, and that something is you. So when you feel empty inside, remember these gentle truths. Meaning shifts, emptiness can hold peace. You are still becoming. You are not alone, and you are already enough. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be endlessly happy or productive. Sometimes, simply resting in the truth of your being, breathing, noticing, existing, is the greatest act of courage there is. And if tonight feels heavy, just remind yourself, it's okay. You're allowed to feel. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to start again tomorrow. Because life isn't about feeling every moment. It's about living through them, gently, openly, one heartbeat at a time. So as you lie there now, let your shoulders drop. Let your breath slow. Let your mind settle into the rhythm of stillness. You are safe. You are cared for. You are not forgotten. And somewhere deep inside, beyond all the noise and the worry, your heart already knows the truth, that even in emptiness, you are whole. If this message touched your heart tonight, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, what helps you find peace when the world feels quiet? Your words might be the comfort someone else needs to hear. And if you'd like more gentle reminders like this about life, peace, and the beauty of growing older, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Together, we're building a little corner of calm in a noisy world. Here's to living your best life, at any age, not by filling every empty space, but by learning to rest in them. Good night, my friend. Sleep peacefully. You are enough. You always were.
Close your eyes, my little one. Rest your weary head. Dream of clouds and far off lands. Rest your sleepy eyes.